I will use treatment to help the sick, according to my ability and judgment, but never with a view to injury and wrongdoing. Neither will I administer a poison to anybody when asked to do so. Hippocrates, 4th century BC, in his famed Hippocratic Oath, writes, compassion, dignity, death, Platonic words masking the issue. The bold reality, only a twisted set of ethics can claim to dignify life while terminating it. French existentialist Jean-Paul Sartre declared that an act against oneself can never be for oneself. No act that extinguishes a life dignifies that life. Rather, it destroys it. Confusing the conscience does not change what is ethical. As an example, listen to what these well-meaning physicians say on the issue of mercy killing, rejecting Hippocrates in testimony to the government. Quote, the underlying motive was the desire to help individuals who could not help themselves and were thus prolonging their lives in torment. To quote Hippocrates today is to claim that invalids and persons in great pain should never be given poison. But any modern doctor who makes so rhetorical a declaration without qualification is a liar or a hypocrite. I never intended anything more or believed I was doing anything but abbreviating the tortured existence of such unhappy creatures. End quote. To the shock of the small community of people and physicians paying attention, 2 doctors were lawfully allowed to expand their program. Quote, these doctors are responsibly commissioned to extend the authority of physicians to be designated by name so that a mercy death may be granted to patients who, according to human judgment, are incurably ill according to the most critical evaluation of the state of their disease. End quote. Signed, Adolf Hitler, October 1939. Dr. Karl Brandt continues in his testimony at the infamous doctor's trial at Nuremberg with this explanation of how an ethical panel would preclude any abuse. Quote, we are stern on constructing a careful medical sequence of evaluation before any patient is put to death, end quote. The doctor goes on to state that the law requires a doctor, a lawyer, and a psychiatrist to review each case file and make sure that death was, quote, compassionate and consistent with medical ethics, end quote. A panel of 3 had to make a unanimous decision after reading each file. A plus mark meant death, a minus mark meant life, and a question mark meant postponement. Absurd, you say. We're not talking about the same thing. Listen to this. The 2004 Groningen Protocol, embodied in laws currently protecting doctors against prosecution in assisting suicide in Holland. Each committee will be made up of 1 legal specialist, 1 physician, and 1 ethical expert. The procedure will be carried out in a medically appropriate fashion. A person qualifies if the doctor holds the conviction that the patient's suffering is lasting and unbearable. Sound familiar? They have a right. They will save money. They will be spared suffering. They are responsible adults that deserve dignity. Each twisted, logical layer adds a new callus to the conscience. If it only stopped there. In 2007, the Groningen protocols were extended despite earlier promises to the contrary. Current Dutch law now allows children as young as 12 to terminate their own lives with parental consent. It also allows doctors to end the life of newborn children with parental consent. Current Belgian law allows doctor-assisted terminations without restriction to age, provided a panel of experts and the parents are all in agreement. No, this is not Dr. Brandt justifying his actions at Nuremberg as he headed to the gallows. This is modern Europe, NATO allies, Western culture. America, wake up. Wake up. No matter how frayed the fabric of our conscience, we must hold it together to stand against this civilized, organized effort of barbarity veneered as consent, dignity, and duly passed law. How are we any different than the Belgians of 2014, the Dutch of 2002, the Germans of 1939? I will speak up. We must wake up. We cannot allow the legalization of a system of expanding murder-suicide pacts. My words may have no bearing, Mr. Chairman, and the words of others that I have quoted may make no difference, but here are some final words from the book of Proverbs. Rescue those being led away to death, hold back those staggering towards slaughter. If you say, but we knew nothing about this, does not he who weighs the heart perceive it? Does not he who guards your life know it? Will he not repay each person for what he has done? D.C. is America's city. It represents the entire country, not just its residents. Mr. Chairman, I yield back my time.